Someone who can't distinguish between, let's say, EDM and house music, what are some elements that they can listen for or hone in on? Or what's your opinion about it?
Yeah. Well, if you can't distinguish between the two, I would say go listen to go listen to musical genres like not modern. It couldn't be modern day stuff unless you were hip to modern day R&B. Like a lot of people like basically anything that ended up getting consumed other than pop umbrella kind of got fucked, in my opinion. It's like it exists. It's not like you can't say, oh, R&B doesn't exist anymore. It's like it absolutely does. There's still amazing like good R&B or good soul music. Like this shit exists. It's just like pop adopted some of this stuff and then just kind of like co-ops like the genreification of it. So then we're like, if someone's like R&B, they just think of auto-tune now or something, the trap beat, and versus like if they just rap over the same thing, now it's hip hop. It's like, that's not, it is, but it isn't, right? It's a different take on it. And I'm not mad at that. I can express like the fact that it makes the line very hard for people to be able to see. But what I'm getting at, as I digress a bit, is go listen to like R&B records, soul records. Go listen to stuff from like the 70s. Go listen to fucking the Motown catalog. Like get a sense for what that music is and like soul, R&B, all these kind of things. Get a sense for disco. Like listen to, because disco is basically like this sped up soul music or like rhythm and blues, just kind of with a different type of backbeat idea and different maybe different lyrical content, different context, whatever. But like, go listen to these things, funk music from the 70s. Like, go listen to all that stuff and derive like a taste for what that music is, not necessarily for its genre, but for what it represents sonically, emotionally, lyrically, rhythmically. And then I'll play an EDM song for you that's maybe by maybe Disclosure or something. Or I don't know, some EDM artist is popular versus I play you a song that's, I don't know, like a track that Kenny Bobian's singing over, or maybe something that John Dixon made, which wouldn't be in the Kenny Bobian vein. It's like there'll be very distinct differences between like, even if something doesn't feel like it needs to have a singer or this or that, like you'll be able to hear the difference. Like you will all of a sudden realize like, oh, like what people tend to classify as EDM is not house music. And not to say that there's not EDM music that's more predicated on the idea of what house kind of has, It's like it kind of drives me nuts to hear people say like house is a feeling, house is a this and that. Cause it's like, it's somewhat superficial, but for a lot of people it's very real.
Why I'm glad you brought it up. I almost forgot that phrase is, there's truth to it, but pretty much every genre is a feeling. So
here's the thing is like, exactly. It's like, it is a feeling for sure. But like, I don't know. I'm such an engineer. Like,
let it out just to say it.
Yeah. It's like, it's true, man. It is a feeling, but, you can't describe it. And if someone goes, okay, describe the feeling of house. It's like, okay, I'll describe it. You're in a room that the focal point is not about a nice seat. It's not about beautiful women or beautiful men. It's not about the best quality floor. It's not about something that you can even see very well. Maybe it's a little too dark. The sound is something that is inescapable. No matter where you move in the room, you're kind of, you're drenched. Like it's like someone stuck you inside of like a tank, or a better analogy, I guess, for people who are a little bit more, they can relate to this a little more. It's you in like the most comfortable spot in your home with a warm blanket covering your, from head to toe, covering you, where it's this inescapable hug of sound that the music is designed to touch you externally, internally. It's designed to like completely resonate through you. And it's an environment where it doesn't ask you to sit down, but it doesn't care if you stand up. Like you get to be in this place, and then everybody else is sharing in that same experience of like being completely surrounded by this, like feeling this whole thing. Like that's the feeling of it. It's a very real thing that your physical human self gets put inside of this, music box. It's like you're living inside of the sound. That's what house music is. And there's no other contributing factors that need to go into that. You don't need to be on drugs. You don't need to be blasted with lights. You don't need to look at anything and get a show. You know what I mean? Nobody even has to see you. You don't have to see anybody else. It's that's how you describe the house as a feeling. And if that's not the feeling because you're expecting to see a show, whatever, then it's probably not a house, or it's something else. It's a derivative of a house, but it's something.
So an analogy might be steak as a food, which is true, but there's
yes. Sure.
Whereas house music is a feeling, but there's other genres that can be feelings too. So we're saying true statements that leaves a lot for interpretation and not enough resolution.
Yeah, exactly. And look, human beings all have their own experiences, right? So my experience with things is going to be very different than yours and next person, whatever. And in some rare circumstance, you share the same experience with somebody, and that's like this magical thing. That's how I met my wife, or how we fell in love, sharing that experience, like intimately, like that was our experience on the dance floor. So, it's cliche, but it's for real.